Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest-running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan. A few years ago, a restaurant in Mumbai put out an ad saying it would deliver pizza by air using drones. Not surprising at the time, the police swiftly fired a regulatory missile and shot down the idea of drones flying about in civilian airspace. Cut to 2022, India has not only opened up the skies with a slew of liberalized rules, it's also announced performance-linked incentives with an outlay of 120 crore rupees for 23 drone companies to soar higher. So what changed? The acknowledgement of the fact that besides helping the armed forces with border surveillance and lethal strikes, drones can do a lot more. The government itself is using drones to map rural landholding. Under the Swamitva scheme, the ICMR is conducting a drone study to collect sputum samples from remote areas to fight tuberculosis. With the eye in the sky, it's becoming easier for forest guards to catch poachers, for farmers to monitor crop health, and for e-commerce companies to airdrop groceries. By 2030, India's drone industry could hit a market size of $23 billion and capture 25% of the global drone market. We can get a sense of the swift takeoff by looking at the rapid growth of just the 23 companies under the PLI scheme. Their combined annual turnover more than tripled from 88 crore rupees in FY21 to over 300 crore rupees in FY22. And joining me now on the show are three high-flying drone startups that are in fact included under the government's PLI scheme for the drone industry. Agneshwar Jayaprakash, the founder and CEO of Garuda Airspace. With us also on the show, Ramakrishna, CEO of Endure Air, and Ankit Mehta, the co-founder and CEO at Idea4. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Ankit, let me address the first question with you. You know, all kinds of numbers are being bandied about. I'm taking a look at the FICCI EY report of 2022. The global drone market is poised to become a $54 billion market by 2025. The manufacturing potential in India could be worth $4.2 billion in the same period, growing to $23 billion by 2030. And as we pointed out at the start of the program, it's estimated that India can capture 25% of the global drone market share through exports. So, Ankit, I want to understand from you, what have been the significant changes that are accelerating this growth of the drone industry in India today?
Shireen, what has happened is that, before the pandemic, the drone technology was a good to have technology. But post the start of the pandemic, we realized that unless and until we use drones, we'll be putting our own people in the harm's way, and we started giving exemptions to operate these systems in the real world. And since then, all the steps that you also highlighted, such as the Swamitva scheme, the fact that we had issues at the border, and all of the other wars that have happened in the world have told us that, unless we adopt drones wholeheartedly, we'll be left behind. In fact, we may be victims of not being able to survive the next, skirmish that we may get into. And therefore, the policy change has reflected the mood that has changed globally in that one sense. And we've now come up with a policy which is as simple as taking a street legal car out of the road, which has a regular license plate, and whoever is operating it has a license to operate it. In the case of drones, it is called type certification, which is equivalent to making or declaring a car that it's street legal. We have UIN, which is equivalent to a license plate, and we have the pilot certification, which is equivalent to a driving license. That, along with the fact that we have been able to create a level playing field in the country by announcing a ban on imports, because we had a slightly skewed relationship with import and export. Export was heavily controlled, but import or export in other countries was not equally well controlled, and therefore we had this arbitrage which this import policy has allowed us to reduce and give the Indian players an opportunity to develop fast and to do the right set of things for that, as well as the announcement of the PLI scheme has given tremendous incentive to the manufacturers to make sure that we are even more encouraged to do more and more work in India, indigenize more components, more systems, and develop more indigenous technology that can be globally competitive. And we can export our systems outside the country.
Yes, and I want to talk to you about all of that in just a second, but let me bring Rama into the conversation as well. You got started with Endure Air in 2018, Rama, and you're one of the beneficiaries of the PLI scheme that the government has announced. Ankit was just taking us through what has changed as far as the regulatory environment is concerned, as well as what has changed from an incentive point of view. I want to understand from you, what does this journey from 2018 to 2022 for Endure Air look like? And more importantly, what are the opportunities that you're now focusing on?
So starting in 2018, we have started from IIT Kanpur. We are a group of professors and students from the academia, and we have put together those solutions that can enhance the performance and benefit the end user in terms of endurance and payload capacity. And by 2020, in the COVID time, like Ankit mentioned, we have finished our products, and post-COVID, the kind of push that was given by Indian government has expedited the product development process, and that gave us chance to deliver our products to multiple services units of MHA and MOD, and that has give us a chance to be one of the PLI beneficiaries in 2021. And this kind of accelerated path that has is definitely due to the support.
Yeah, so you've got IIT Kanpur, you've got Ankit, who is the alumnus of IIT Mumbai, and of course, along with his co-founders, they started Idea Forge. And let me get Agneshwar into the conversation at Garuda Aerospace as well. Agneshwar, many thanks for joining us. I want to understand from you, what are the areas of opportunity that you're going to specifically leverage on? And, you know, while we're talking about largely the focus so far being on defense as well as industrial applications and those verticals, what about life beyond that? As Ankit pointed out, COVID really changed the game in many ways. And today we are now talking about companies like Swiggy tying up with drone companies to, you know, with the hope or the possibility of being able to do grocery deliveries as well. And that's no longer a pipe dream, but perhaps a reality on the anvil. So beyond defense and industrial applications, what are we now talking about?
I think, firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show. And it's indeed an honor to be on the same panel as a legend like Ankit as well as Rama. But what Garuda Aerospace has managed to do ever since the pandemic is to focus more on the precision agricultural drone space. We believe amongst all other drone sectors, the precision agri drone sector has the maximum utilization ratio amongst all drones. And we see $3 billion industry just waiting to be disrupted. And we focused a lot of our energies on developing high-tech drones equipped with AI, ML, with 4G and 5G enabled drone services. And it is these same precision agri drones which we have modified to suit Swiggy and other drone-based delivery applications that the government as well as several private players have come forward to discover, you know. And I would say that the entire drone industry is still in its very nascent stages. There is still plenty can look to explore, and I believe the Indian drone ecosystem is evolving rapidly.
Yes, certainly in nascent stages at this point in time. But since you called Ankit the legend, let me go back to the legend on the panel as far as the drone business is concerned. So, Ankit, I want to understand from you, you know, the opportunities that Idea Forge is now looking at, not just from a domestic market perspective, but also from an export point of view, the markets that you believe you are going to be able to gain access to, because as you pointed out, we've banned imports, but perhaps also with the benefit of the PLI scheme, etc., the export market will become a more lucrative opportunity. And in terms of fundraising, you know, you've got a fairly large kitty at this point in time to play with, but what does the future look like?
Shireen, exports is definitely an area which is opening up for the Indian drone industry. I believe that given our background of developing these products in an extremely difficult environment, particularly from the climatic conditions point of view and the terrain and the overall diversity in where all we need to operate these systems as a part of our country, there is a great opportunity. And what has happened in India particularly is that we've pushed the envelope of performance well beyond a lot of players globally. And therefore, we are seeing a lot of interest in these differentiated products which have not emanated from a hobby market or RC flying market plus approach versus a mission first approach in the global market. In fact, as we speak, I am in the US attending one of the largest UAV conferences in the world and trying to uh, announce that we are now arriving in the North American market, and we would love to look at how our differentiated offerings can add value to the customers here locally. And that's something that we are quite looking forward to. We have already started exporting to a few countries, and we are hoping that we'll be able to aggressively grab the market share in these opportunities in these markets as well. And of
Okay,
course,
so you've
from the
already
point of
started
view of
exporting, and of course,
funding.
the US is the big market that you're hoping to get into. Yes, go ahead, Ankit.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add that as far as funding is concerned, I think the space is, ripe for a large kitty of, money coming to it, particularly because as we Indian businesses look at building these differentiated solutions that have global value, I do believe that, our mark will be visible in the global space. And as we move forward towards building it for more and more use cases in our country, we will be needing to build differentiated solutions. And as we build differentiated solutions for a large market, which the Sticky Report is also announcing, of which I'm also a co-chair, I do think that we should be looking at a very bright future for the drone industry from the perspective of availability of capital as well as having a large potential demand base.
Rama, that's what I want to address with you. Let's talk about some of the new used cases that could open up as potential opportunities and what that means for a company like yours. You've got a revenue of about 2 crores in FY22. You're targeting a revenue of between 10 to 12 crores in FY23. The kind of collaborations, partnerships, clients that you're working with, as well as the new used cases that the industry is focusing on in terms of future capitalization.
Yeah, Shirin. So address that. So we so far have developed the use cases for surveillance and logistics delivery up to payload capacity of 10 kg. And by end of this financial year, we are planning to finish our products for ISR missions and also payload capacities that can go up to 40 to 50 kg, and that can be transported to a range of 80 to 100 kilometers. And that will solve the purpose of a mid-mile delivery in civilian market and also high altitude hill areas applications also. That can be used for our border forces and also for disaster response forces, NDRF, SDRF, etc. And this will also solve the purpose for the medicine delivery in Himachal and Uttarakhand. These areas which are not easily accessible. And parallel to that, we are also planning to finish the product development of loitering ammunition solutions by partnering with multiple DRDO labs. That is also one of the product development in the pipeline. Yeah, these are some of that I can reveal at this point.
And what about exports and the export opportunity for you?
So that we are still establishing ourselves in the Middle East market by attending. We are attending this Dubai Heli Show by end of which is in October 24 to 26, and there we are going to release our couple of new products in our portfolio, and that will make us create a mark in that. And from there, from next year, we are planning to establish, find local partners or regional partners in Canada and Australia and Middle East.
Okay, so big plans as far as exports are concerned. Agneshwar, let me ask you the same question, both domestic opportunities as well as the export opportunities. And, again, for the benefit of our viewers who are watching, the different kinds of opportunities that drone companies like Garuda are looking at. You have, of course, got a partnership and a tie-up with Swiggy. When does that finally get operationalized? And how is it going to work?
Well, if it wasn't for the Bangalore floods, we would have actually commenced our operations with Swiggy, and it is not a trial. It's actually advanced stages of figuring out how you would actually be able to monetize it. But apart from the whole Swiggy partnerships, we believe that there is going to be a huge opportunity of selling over 20,000 drones over the next 8 to 12 months in the domestic agricultural sector. We're market leaders in that space, and we've made rapid strides in equipping our drones with very high-tech software and with very advanced partnerships with some of the global giants in the tech space. But ever since the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji launched 100 Garuda Kisan drones in 100 locations simultaneously across the country in February, we've had significant traction with Mahendra Singh Dhoni picking up a stake at Garuda Aerospace. We've also commenced a very large Series A $30 million round at a $250 million valuation. So needless to say, funds are coming in. There is a lot of progressive policies. We're focused towards the precision ag sector and customizing our drones to provide a lot of other allied services. But we are also focusing on adding elements of software, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and automation, because I think that is the future. Merely drone manufacturing and providing services will not get us those 20 to 25x valuations, and our goal is to become the first ever drone unicorn startup. And in that perspective, we believe that deep tech data and how we are going to monetize that data is going to be a huge game changer in the future.
Agneshwar, you said the aspiration and the aim is to become the first drone unicorn in the country. What timeline have you set for yourself to be able to achieve that?
Well, hopefully we should be reaching that space in the next 12 to 16 months' time. But at the same time, for us, more than the valuation game, we believe that we can impact 1 billion people positively. And I think the best way to do that is via the precision agricultural space, because regardless of any defense equipment, industrial projects, I think agriculture is an essential, right? So when you're developing a drone and providing services and enhancing the food crop productivity and yield of farmers, I believe you're going to touch 1 billion lives, and automatically the valuation would come. So we're not too bothered about when we're going to achieve that. We've set a timeline of August 2023. We're firmly on the track. We've started to increase our revenues 100x since last year. So I believe that we are definitely going to get there. It's only about having the right partners and the right fund infusion at the right time.